and welcome to the Lightseers and Mystics Haven podcast. I'm Erica, an intuitive tarot reader, energy worker, and seeker of cosmic wisdom. With a Virgo sun, Cancer moon, and Gemini rising, I weave together deep introspection, emotional intuition, and a love of storytelling. As a 6-2 pure generator in human design and a master number 22 in numerology, my purpose is to guide, create, and inspire. This podcast is an extension of my Substack, The Lightseers and Mystics Haven, a sacred space where we explore tarot, astrology, human design, and many of the other unseen forces shaping our lives. Whether you're here for insight, self-discovery, or a touch of magic, you're in the right place. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's dive into the mysteries together. Hi, friends. It's been a minute. Well, more than a minute, actually. And before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to take a moment and acknowledge that. The truth is, this episode was originally meant to come out right after that last one. Sometimes you got to go through it. But when that last one aired, there was something that kind of shifted in me. I don't know that I even have the exact words for it, but it felt like suddenly I wasn't just talking about trauma. I began realizing how much of mine was still unprocessed and how many shadows I hadn't faced. It made me feel a little bit like a hypocrite, if I'm being honest. Like maybe I had no business holding space for others when I was still unraveling my own knots, have you? That imposter syndrome hit so hard, I can't even begin to explain. So I ended up stepping back, and what I thought was going to be a short pause turned into something of a 6-month hiatus. So it was like 6 months of me sitting with my stuff, right? Grieving, raging, reflecting, healing. 6 months of trying to let the fire do what it needed to do. And now I finally feel ready for the cleansing, ready for the smoke. And also, before we begin, I wanted to say thank you to those of you who've supported this podcast, who've messaged me, shared episodes, or simply just held the space open until I return. I see you and I appreciate you more than you know. And also, I'm so sorry for the silence. But I'm back and I'm stepping into a new version of myself, one that's no longer trying to be perfect or healed or wise before I speak. One that remembers why I started this podcast in the first place. Not to teach from a mountaintop, but to walk the path with you, to heal alongside you. Because I've learned something really powerful in these 6 months. I don't have to be all the way through it to share what I've learned. I don't have to be done in order to offer support, because really we don't ever get to be done. The whole point of this is to continue learning the lessons, right? They come and they shift. Once we learn one, the next one's right around the corner. And we're supposed to just work with them and, I don't know, shift with them as they come. That's how we raise our frequency. That's how we raise our vibration. That's how we begin our own spiritual ascension, if you will. And even when I'm going through, I understand that that doesn't mean I need to stop offering support or that I can't support while I'm doing that, because this is meant to be a collaborative process. And I want to honor that again. So again, thank you for your grace, your patience, and the willingness to keep walking with me. So that all said, let's take a deep breath and begin. So there's this metaphor that I was sitting with since back when I started creating this episode in May. And it's that not all cleansing requires fire. Sometimes what we really need is the smoke. Let me explain this. Try to make it a little clearer. There's a sacred role for fire. There's no doubt about that. Fire transforms, right? It purifies, it clears spaces and burns away the things that no longer serve us. And in many ways, sacred rage can feel like fire. It's passionate, it's catalytic, and often it's necessary when we feel like we need to reclaim our voice or stand in our truth, right? But we also have to acknowledge that fire is destructive. It can't be contained in delicate spaces. And there are places within us old wounds, hidden grief, fragile truths that fire would devastate. So that's where the smoke comes in. Smoke is subtle. It lingers. It curls into corners, seeps into cracks, and it can reach places that fire can't go. Smoke isn't demanding. It doesn't burn. It gently fills a space and can change and shift the energy without leaving scars. And sometimes the healing we require calls for that softer touch. In the 6 months of me being away, I got to experience that rage. Like, there was definitely a call for that. And mine came in the form of my friends taking me out to learn to shoot and do target practice. And that was awesome. Sometimes it came in the form of screaming into a pillow or just going out into nature and screaming and probably terrifying everyone within a 5-mile radius. But that part, while it was helpful in the time, there was something missing after. It was like, okay, I raged, I screamed, I yelled, but what do I do now, right? Like, what do I do with that? And I know in experience, when we're all rage and when that's the only thing, pushing us forward or driving us, it's not really something that you can get things done with, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, you can rage and you can use that as motivation to push you, but the rage and the fire don't actually give you helpful results, like not going forward, not for the actual healing part. That part has to come a little softer sometimes. That for me, it was more so in the quiet moments of like, okay, I've felt this, I've experienced this, but what do I do with it? And I think understanding how it's transformed me and giving honor and appreciation to the lessons I've learned along the way, and being able to hold space for others who have also experienced similar trauma, and being able to lean more into that nurturing side have been the things that really created the change. Mm-hmm. I think those things were more important than the yelling. Those quiet tears during my cacao ceremonies, those shared glances of, recognition in the eyes of the women who I shared some of my story with, those I feel like created so much more change and so much more healing for not just myself, but others than just yelling or shooting a gun would have ever accomplished. Those things were necessary because rage has its place, and I've honored mine, but I believe I've reached a point now where my guides are gently nudging me, saying, you've burned enough. It's time to let the smoke do its work. It's time to let forgiveness waft through the places where rage couldn't touch, to let softness cleanse what trying to force things couldn't fix, and to allow stillness to restore what the fire destroyed. I don't know where you are in your own healing journey, but if you're in a space where fire has done its job and you're ready for something quieter, something gentler, you're not alone. I think this season, as we're following the cycles of the earth, is a season that calls for that, right? As we step into the fall and winter, it's the quieter, the calmer, it's the opportunities for us to go inward. We don't have to keep burning just to feel like we're doing the work. Sometimes the most powerful work is what happens in that hush after the flames, the breath, the surrender. And when you let the smoke rise, it carries your prayers, your grief, your release. It speaks for you in sacred silence. So if you've burned, if you've raged, if you've shot your gun or thrown your axe, shot your arrow, and you're tired, then maybe this is your invitation too. Let the smoke do its work. Thank you so, so much for being here still. I will try to never take that for granted again. If this episode resonates, I'd love for you to share it with someone else who might be ready to let the fire settle. And if you feel called, reach out. Let me know what landed, what you're moving through, or how the smoke's working in your life right now. Maybe even fill me in on how things have been going for you the past 6 months. But until next time, let's remember to take a deep breath and remind yourself, as I needed reminding, you're doing better than you think.